Good evening and welcome. My name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir, and I am your host and dungeon master this evening for our first get-together of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. This is our session 0. This is where we're going to talk about our characters. We're going to do some backstory work. We're going to talk about some safety tools for the gaming table, talk about some ways that we're going to have a good time, and try to keep each other out of therapy. At least additional therapy, depending on the circumstance, and we don't judge. To kind of kick things off this evening, I'd like to say hello and welcome to everybody who's already joined us in the chat. Micmac, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you hanging out with us, as well as everybody else. I would love to go around the table and let all of my amazing players introduce themselves. And rather than going right into our characters, let's just do a little bit about ourselves and maybe mention our first Dungeons and Dragons character. And we're gonna start that off. We're going to go right over to that far corner, and we're going to let Chickadee be our lead-off introduction tonight.
Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, I'm Chickadee. I'm on Twitter as Chaotic Neutral Chickadee. And my first D&D character was very basic rogue. I believe it was a elf, but I'm not 100% on that one. I don't remember. I started playing in middle school, so it's a little... But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. We'll take it up and around. Arwen?
Hi, I'm Arwen Atreides. My first D&D character was also a very basic rogue, and I think I had her for 2 sessions before the group dissolved. Bounced around through a couple different campaigns that didn't last more than a session or 2, and then I started playing a wizard, and I have had my wizard now for just over a year.
Cool. Ari?
Hey, I am Akio Airy, aka Airy. I stream on Twitch, play lots of different types of games. This is my very first time playing D&D, so bear with me. My character is Sharkira, based off of Sharkira. She is a dark elf and a wizard, and that is all I know about it. So this is going to be interesting.
And rounding out the table, Malloc?
Hey, how's it going? I'm Paul. I work in the video game industry. I've been doing that for 11 years now. Programmer. So thank you for the initial education there. Yeah, so...
Thankfully, you got better instructors for programming than me.
I mean, a lot of it's self-taught after a while. But yeah, so I've been playing D&D since 1999. I think I had a half-dragon sorcerer or something. It was not great, but we had fun, and that's really what matters. So.
Awesome. And my name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir. To round out the introductions, my first character was, I think my first character was a cleric. And the reason I say that is because when I started D&D, you didn't have the race class combo. You were a cleric, you were a fighter, or maybe you were an elf. But elves didn't get to do anything other than be elves. Also,
your profession was elf.
Yeah, your class was elf. Also, back in that day, you also spoke the same language as your entire alignment.
Was so alignment based?
Yes, you had lawful was a language.
Interesting.
It really showed how D&D started as a miniature combat game. So in a traditional evening, we would kind of do our usual rounds. We talk a little bit about what's been going on this week and maybe do a short recap. Then we're going to run our opening titles. Since we don't have a live recap to do, I'm going to go ahead and hit that opening titles sequence. And when we get back off of it, we're going to start going down our checklist of session 0 items to discuss. Hang tight, folks.
Time to warm up the dice. Prepare the snacks. Will there be safe passage or brutal attacks? The players come from everywhere on Lantern Noir. Elves, dwarves, giants, and dragons is what you are, so pull up a chair. Get ready for the next campaign. It'll be a hell of a lot more fun than just sitting in the rain. For the next 5 hours, time is gonna move a lot faster. Thanks to your imagination and your fabulous dungeon master. Lantern Noir presents.
I forget that I'm on camera when I stream, so.
Well, that is part of the point. We are supposed to kind of forget we are on camera, as it were. All right, so now we're ready to talk some D&D. We've been talking on the Discord about what everyone's playing. We should probably start by getting that kind of get it out there to the table, and feel like we've maybe do some character introductions and a little bit of, is there one or two things that are for sure part of that backstory? And if you haven't yet, now's a good time to open up your character sheet on D&D Beyond, because we're going to do a couple of test runs too, just to make sure we all kind of shake down the mechanics of the game, so that when we're up and running, we've at least tried it once together at the table. I'm going to pick on Ari first.
Yay.
Because okay, so I have to brag about my players. And I love to brag about my players. So I'm going to brag about Ari, because Ari is completely new to D&D. And I sent a link to D&D Beyond and said, if you want to, you can make your characters. And knowing absolutely nothing, she set out and made a character that generally works. So I would love it if you would introduce her to the table and tell us a couple of things about her.
Me?
Yes.
I don't even know what to say. She's a dark elf. She's Sharkira. She kicks butt, and I'm not sure what else to say.
What does Sharkira want?
She wants to bring peace to the realm with a little bit of chaos.
And that's consistent with the kicking butt by...
I don't know. Sharkira is a little bit unpredictable, I think.
I can live with that. I will say, I don't know if you've checked since we last talked, you hadn't taken any actual first level spells. So I went ahead and, as a recommendation, I've added Burning Hands, Disguise Self, and Witch Bolt. So
Solid choices.
Burning Hands is a nice flamethrower-esque spell.
Okay.
Disguise Self is a magical, make yourself look like anybody you want.
Whoa, okay.
And Witch Bolt is the Emperor's lightning bolt at the end of Return of the Jedi.
Say that one more time.
The Emperor's lightning bolt. Yep. And now, young Skywalker, you will die. That's Witch Bolt. The you will die is completely optional, but strongly encouraged.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can't imagine why.
Cool. Arwen, do you want to introduce your mouthful?
Yes. Sorry. I like mouthful names. I have Chrysanthemum Coriolis. She is a halfling cleric. And Chrysanthemum was raised in an abbey. She was abandoned as a child and raised in the abbey. And she has been given a period of time towards the end of her training to go out and adventure, gain some experience, and decide if she wants to continue to devote the rest of her life to service. So she is a young adventurer out there looking to cut her teeth on some adventure, and she's a little naive, but she's really gung-ho, and she's raring to go and get some experience and see where her choices take her.
Cool. So she has not yet. Does she take any kind of holy orders then, or is she still debating it?
She's still debating. I mean, I chose the trickery domain, but she hasn't made any binding decisions yet.
there's a particular god there, isn't there?
It said there were a couple. I didn't. It said the stuff I looked. I've never played a cleric before, and the research I did said there were a couple of different choices, and I just hadn't picked one. So I don't know. I don't know much about cleric. I'm going to be learning right alongside her.
Yeah, I'll mention to Azteki that not all gods are as casual as the avatar of Ravenkind. Sometimes the orders from the god are not recommendations. You got lucky. And we're glad that you're here. And I will again shout out both Nebula and Intern Azteki and congratulate them on being level 1 parents.
Hey.
So good luck with that. Because, yeah, that's a thing. All right, cool. Chickadee, have you put a lot of... Tell us about Rellona,
Rellona.
is it? Rellona.
It is, yeah. Okay, so I'm Rellona Elvier, and she, after witnessing her family die in a horrible accident and being unable to do anything, she's been kind of ostracizing herself, trying to grow stronger and, make up for what she couldn't do earlier. So I chose the Barbarian class as she wasn't strong enough to save anybody then. Well, she's angry and she's ready to save people now. So...
This is also the second half-elf barbarian I've had at the table this year. It's a bit of a twist.
Yeah.
In my Wednesday game now, Saturdays, she's a half-elf barbarian librarian.
Librarian?
It's not so much that she has rage
love
issues.
it.
She
That
just
would've been
really
it.
wants the books returned on time.
It's very
That's
important.
fair.
That would
That's
have
valid.
been so much better when our barbarians were illiterate, because that would have just made it.
It can be done. It can be done. All right, Malloc, tell us about Drewmere.
My character is Drewmere Greyblade. He is a dwarf who grew up in a mid-sized Dwarven mountain community. His parents were craftsmen. He did a bit of craftsmanship, but he ended up getting accepted into a very prestigious Dwarven school there, where he enrolled in the wealth acquisition program. He studied in hiding and not being seen. He also studied in truth flexibility. So he's just recently graduated. He's got a bunch of college debt on his hand, and he's looking to, get a job in the field.
Is there anything autobiographical about that?
Perhaps.
So out of curiosity, does he have rules of acquisition he has to have memorized as part of this?
I didn't come up with anything, but I thought the idea of going to a institution to learn how to be a criminal is a little bit ironic and completely lost on the character.
Okay, so I'm going to throw this link in chat so everybody has access to it. But if you want to get... Wait, does this actually have them listed? Yes, it does. If you want to use rules of acquisition, I'll throw it on the Zoom side too, because I can throw it all kinds of places. My household is a Star Trek Deep Space Nine household. We have 4 cats, Julian, Miles, Keiko, and our newest kitten, Esri. Yes, I am nerdy enough that I did have Nicole DeBoer send a note to our 9-year-old telling her to be a good kitten mom to Esri. And Nicole DeBoer is the actress who played Esri Dax on DS9.
Oh, that's awesome.
It really was. It made me tear up a little bit. It also was proof that she hadn't fully read the request, because in the middle of her note, she says, oh, and you have other cats and they're named. And she reads them and she goes, holy cow, you guys have like all of DS9 living there. With that look of genuine surprise. I'm like, come on. Only we're nerds. But the rules of acquisition, I think, are one of my favorite quirks of that. So if you ever want to quote these, I will not stop you.
I'll have to learn them. I actually haven't watched a lot of DS9, so
That's okay.
thank you for the information.
Oh yeah, they're all good ones. And I think it would be very consistent with your character then to be able to quote you probably wrote essays on all of these at one point.
Probably.
A dwarf with no rule 18. A dwarf without profit is no dwarf at all.
Exactly. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. Rule 23. Nothing is more important than your health. Except for money.
But actually.
Favorite quirks of that? Exactly. Okay, so a little bit of background so we can get into the kind of I think the goofiest part of the night. Waterdeep is a massive metropolis in the Forgotten Realms. Now, by the way, Striker Dan, welcome. Thank you for the follow. We appreciate having you hanging out with us and joining the community. And all day, I'm sorry I didn't say it earlier. If you're still here, thank you for popping in. Waterdeep is a massive city fortress. It has multiple wards, probably 1 million residents. Picture New York City, but fantasy. Or Chicago, maybe. It might be a little better. It's not quite as tall, but more wide. It is on. There is a docks area. It's on the water. It's a major port city. Pretty much anything and everything can be found somewhere in Waterdeep. It's known for having an extensive bureaucracy. The primary leadership is a council of lords, of which no one knows who is on it. Because if you don't know who the lords ruling the city are, you can't bribe them. So there's a system of hidden lords that run it. The exception is there's always one public lord, so that there can be a face to the city. Someone to do ribbon cuttings, kiss babies, shake hands. And they're very scrutinized because, again, they're the only public official. So in theory, the only person you could bribe, and maybe even try to get the names of the other lords out of. It also has a significant amount of gang activity, as a large city will. All day, welcome. That's okay. That's okay. We're glad to have you here. The gang activities range based on what ward you're in. The more wealthy parts of town have their own mercenary protection. The middle to lower ends have the City Watch. The City Watch is very active and not terribly bad at their jobs, like most cops. They do their best. They're sometimes a little overmatched, but they all signed up because they wanted to do something good, or they couldn't get another job. Kind of on par. So the next big question is, how did everyone end up in Waterdeep? How did we all get to this place?
Well, I heard there was a challenge, and I am looking to bolster my ego.
Go on. What kind of challenge is going to draw Renola into Waterdeep? Is she looking to do it adventuring style work? Is she
Absolutely.
looking to join the Watch and just bust some heads, or sign on as a guard with a noble?
Raylana doesn't work real well with people. She does her best, but she always constantly feels like she's being judged and pressured. So she tends to work alone, and the adventuring gigs from Waterdeep sounded very appealing to her. And the bigger the adventure, the better.
Duly noted. Because, I put everything on spreadsheets. Okay, who else? What else y'all thinking? How did Waterdeep end up in your character's path?
Well, for Drewmere, Waterdeep is the perfect place to go. It's the city of coin. There's tons of people, and when there's tons of people, there's tons of money. When there's tons of money and tons of people, not everyone is always watching. So you can probably skim a bit off the top or the bottom or whatever the phrase is. It's kind of the big place to be, and it wasn't terribly too far from home, so nice and convenient.
Okay, I'm digging it.
He figures, if he can find someone to mentor him, or get with a more successful group, or just in general apply his skills, he can really rise up the ranks fast and make some coin.
Cool, cool, cool. That makes some sense. Now, is he going after the like a thieves guild kind of work? Is he looking for signing on as a contract worker, or is he planning to free? Was he when he arrived? Was he thinking freelance work?
I imagine he was thinking freelance work, at least initially, to just kind of get a lay of the area. You know, at a certain point, I imagine the Thieves Guild will be like, hey, stop muscling in our territory or join us or something like that. And he'll have to figure that out at that point. But until they notice, you know, no reason to give someone else a cut.
That's fair. That's fair. Arwen, how did Chrysanthemum end up in Waterdeep? What made her pick there of all places to go for this walkabout?
I don't know that Chrysanthemum picked it consciously. So Chrysanthemum really likes being with people. She, having grown up in an area where there were a lot of people kind of just all living on top of each other, she's comfortable in crowds, or at least in groups of people. And she doesn't really like to be alone. She doesn't really have a good idea of good sense of how to function alone without other people around. So I think she spent time traveling in groups and maybe jumping off and going, oh, this group is going somewhere different. That looks exciting, or that sounds interesting, or I like these people, I'll follow them. And so she just kind of jumped around, traveling town to town, wherever people were going, and just kind of ended up here. And hey, this looks like a good place to meet some people, maybe get into a little bit of trouble, and this looks like a good place to hang out. She's comfortable where there's people.
All right, that makes some sense. So Ari, Shakira had all kinds of choices about where to wander. Why on earth would she have picked a metropolis?
Well, I would say for a couple of reasons. Number one, its name is Waterdeep. She feels one with the shark. So with a little bit of water, it sounds intriguing enough. But also, Shakira has lived a quiet, kind of steady life, and she yearns to be in the spotlight. She wants to be seen, she wants to be heard, and maybe even get into a little bit of mischief. So some of the crimes and things going on, maybe she'll stop them, maybe she'll join in on them, who knows. So she wants some more excitement and adventure in her life. So that's what originally pulled her in to the place of Waterdeep.
Okay. I like it. Playing off each other, are we adding any more to that, or do we feel we've got some good rationale for being there?
Seems good to me.
Cool. Yeah, I feel like that's solid. That's gonna work. Before we hit the crazy fun, let's do this really quick. You've got your character sheet up. Go ahead and hit the initiative button. So if you look at your character sheet, right smack in the middle, that has your character's initiative on it.
Guessing it doesn't play well with Beyond 20, does it?
And we've got all right, I think we all Raylona did it twice, but that's okay.
My bad.
That's okay. Okay, so I sent y'all a link for the combat tracker. I sent you the link on Discord.
Yes.
And what you see when you look at it, you'll see your... Hang on, let me make sure I pop the right window open. There we go. You'll see your character's name. There will be your character portrait once the artists have finished them. That's coming. And then I can just read it off the output, which is now over there because I put us into combat mode. And so I just want to make sure that we're okay with our tech and that we kind of know how this all works. And then it's 5. Bam. So now when I hit this, it should refresh. you should see the numbers and that chrysanthemum is up first. And so if I advance the tracker, it'll move her to the bottom and so on. So this is going to be your key to keeping track of what's going on in a fight. There are two places you're going to be looking at then is your character sheet to see what you're going to do and the combat tracker to see how the combat's going. Please pay attention. And I only say that because we did have an instance once where we were on the third round of combat and one of the players went, I don't know what everyone's so mad about. Everyone's at full health. And then we asked her to refresh the tracker page and she went, oh, okay. I see why everyone's so angry right now. I was like, okay, yeah, now we can start taking the fight seriously. And it sounds like y'all can find me on the character sheets because there was like, no, where do I find it? So I think we're going to be fine on the combat front. And it's perfectly reasonable to ask what to do next. Ari, as a heads up, one of the things that I love about the D&D Beyond page, if you look at just where under actions, where it says all, it'll show you everything you can do on a combat round. Yes. So you can see your rapier, you can see your firebolt, you can see your witch bolt. And then you can click over to your spells tab and see your spells. And if you click on anything, it'll bring up an explanation for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, it works really well. On the combat front, to give everybody a heads up, I tend to be a little bit of a rule of cool when it comes to combat. There will be times characters will go down. Your character could die, but if they do, it's going to be in a way that is satisfactory. I also try, full disclosure, not to let combat get to the spot where it's boring. If we hit a spot where the outcome is no longer in question from the dice, I'll start to communicate that to you one way or the other. Like, we're wrapping this up because you guys obviously have this in hand. Or at this point, Relona's got Shakira over her shoulder. She's fighting one-handed with her great axe, and it looks like Drewmere's about to lose control of his intestines as they fall out of his gut. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to comment that the other guys don't look that bad off yet. Just saying. It could happen. And I also like to think that it's important in session 0 to kind of lay that out there. So if everyone's like, oh man, Rob, you really I want you to be meaner to me. Make it hurt some more. Then I can adjust to that. I aim for the exact level of hurt that is going to keep you engaged and excited.
Sounds good.
Appreciated.
I really need to read
Fun and
that.
interesting and engaging and dramatic.
Exactly.
It's not Dungeons and Dragons. It's drama and dice.
Kinda. Although there will be dungeons. I love Waterdeep as an adventure. And welcome, Swooshi. I love that this one has dungeons to go through, and there are dragons in this one.
It is a dragon heist after all.
It is. Point of order. A dragon also refers to a gold coin in Waterdeep.
Ah.
So the dragon heist could refer to robbing a dragon. It could also just refer to a heist of a large quantity of gold coins. Either one is entirely possible. Or...
To know.
Well, 50-50, let's go.
Could be both.
Maybe both. They tend to stick together sometimes.
Just saying. Could be both. Okay, so the game is going to start at a little place that I like to refer to as the Yawning Portal. If you've never heard of it, it's a tavern in Waterdeep. It's known for the fact that in the center of the tavern, there is a massive hole that leads down into the catacombs of the Mad Mage below Waterdeep. It's referred to as the Undermountain. Adventurers go there expressly to ride the elevator down the hole through the Yawning Portal and explore the Undermountain. If you're not there to go down, you're there to bet on who's going to come back out. And so there's a constant movement of bookies through the space, keeping track of who's gone down, when they went down, and how much gold they brought back up with them. It costs 1 gold to go down and 1 gold to come up. And if you don't have your gold piece when you come out, they just send you right back down again until you have it. There's also a significant number of retired adventurers who will hang out there to tell stories about their time of adventuring. There's a significant number of... I don't want to use the word groupie, but we're going to use the word groupie. Well, I mean, think about it.
Oh,
No,
makes
I
perfect
gotcha.
sense to me.
I gotcha.
Yeah, they're not adventurers. They're people that are into adventurers. And the story starts with the 4 of your characters in the Yawning Portal. So we're going to cut right to the fact that you're already there. Which also means I kind of want to know how we all got there. But before we do that, who's had a chance to meet somebody else at the table before we get to the Yawning Portal? Who's had a chance to hang out a little bit and get to know each other? So kind of like recapping, we have the cleric, halfling cleric, who's arrived in Waterdeep within the last few weeks on a walkabout. A Dwarven Rogue who's really looking to, also has recently arrived, looking to make a name for himself by slicing a few purses and seeing what falls out. We have the Elven Barbarian who just really wants to see if she can break a log with her bare hand. And then we have the Dark Elf Wizardress that I'm still kind of like piecing together motive for. And that's okay. That's okay. But it seems to have come to Waterdeep also with that similar like, oh, this will be interesting. So I guess, who would like to pair up out of the gate?
Well, Raylona would be game to talk to anybody who's willing to drink with her.
That's
I would
me.
absolutely be willing to drink with
Hey,
anybody.
there we go.
Okay. So right out of the gate, I'm going to put...
The ladies together. Woo.
Chrysanthemum will talk to whoever will sit still long enough for her to approach and start talking to.
Okay. I don't mind that. This is going to get really interesting really fast. Do any of you have a background with Drewmere? I don't want Drewmere to be the stranger to all 3 of you, though. But I like the idea. The 3 of you have been coming to the Yawning Portal for a few weeks now, drinking, talking, swapping stories of the road.
Well, Raylona might be placing some bets on people who come up. I don't know if Drewmere was interested in any of that.
Maybe not. He's not quite. He's a little flush for cash. I guess that would mean he has a lot. He doesn't have a lot of money right now.
Strapped.
Can't really afford.
Strapped is the word you're looking for.
Strapped for cash. Flush for cash.
Maybe you're looking to change that.
I think I'll hedge my bet. But he is looking to network. So getting in there and trying to find, say, a cleric, someone who's a healer. That's always a good party member to have. At least that's what he was told anyway. So yeah, probably knowing that finding out that this was a, renowned adventuring bar, he would go there and try and see if anyone needs a rogue, someone who's got good credentials, can make a name for himself. But finding a healer is the first order of business.
So if Drewmere was coming in and this was like his first time, Chrysanthemum probably might have noticed, hey, I've never seen this person around before, and could very well have gone up and struck up a conversation. Find out
Sounds good.
who you are, where you coming from. Not in a nosy way, but in a almost overly friendly kind of way.
That sounds good to me.
And the other ladies are a bit more of on the, why is she talking to him? He looks skeevy. To which I'm sure at some point one of the two will say, well, they're about the same height.
This is also fair.
She doesn't have to keep looking up when she talks to him.
It's easier on the neck.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so what that's going to take us into is this amazing resource. This is the RPG Kids on Bikes. This is by far one of my favorite RPGs besides Dungeons & Dragons. And the reason I say that is it has a complete list of character background questions. Now, most RPGs give you character background questions where you answer questions about your character. So I would just read down the list, and Ari would list off all of her characters' hopes and fears and their relationship with their mother. Did they have any pets? What's the one thing they can't lose? How tight are their boots? All that stuff. This is different. I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer it about somebody else's character.
Ooh.
Boy.
And you get to assign basically the traits to each other.
Sorry, guys.
Now, technically, there are no limits. But you do have to understand everyone's going to do this. So there's a little bit of turnabout is fair play. And the more interesting stuff we can build on as we play through the campaign. So don't be too scared. The good news-ish is that Malloc doesn't have quite as many because there's only one question for people you don't know well yet. But we will work on the assumption that Chrysanthemum and Drewmere have had enough conversations that they've gotten to know each other fairly well over the last couple of weeks. And I'm actually going to let Malloc go first on this.
Good.
Okay, so in the last couple of weeks, what has Chrysanthemum done for Drewmere that makes him owe her a debt?
We could say that Chrysanthemum. Am I doing that right?
Yep.
Cool. Chrysanthemum might have spotted Drewmere fumbling about with social awkwardness, or at least not quite making a bit of a fool of himself, or something like that, and pulled him aside and said, "Hey, just calm down a little bit. Here, let me buy you a beer," something like that. He seemed kind of out of his depth. So he is very, very happy or grateful for that. And having found a cleric, he says, "All right, well, if you ever need someone who's good with locks, or can sneak around in the dark, I'm your dwarf."
Okay. That works. Okay, my die does work. Now on the flip side, what does Drewmere need to take from Chrysanthemum for her own good?
So
No,
Chrysanthemum.
this is actually Malloc's question still.
Oh, this is mine still.
bad.
Sorry.
Yeah, he gets to assign this. What's he trying to get off of her for her own good?
Maybe she wears the symbol of her god a little too brazenly, that others might pick up on that and trust her less, as it is a trickster god. And so he has to, I guess taking a holy symbol wouldn't be super great, but maybe hide the symbolage a bit.
Okay, so here's what I think. I
It
hear you
didn't
saying.
feel very strong. But
I feel like Drewmere just is constantly sleight of handing stuff over Chrysanthemum's holy symbol.
right. Oh, there you go. Just like moving things into the way to hide it. Yeah, that's fun.
Trickster. That works. Make a quick tweak to this so I can actually read everything I'm typing. There we go. Now I can see it all. Yeah, that would work. That's kind of fun then, because that's a kind of... Yeah. That's cool.
I can
All right,
totally
Arwen.
see that.
Are you ready? All right, except we're not going to let you talk about Drewmere yet.
Okay.
I want to hear about your relationship with the Barbarian.
Okay.
What about this character always makes you happy? I love how Chickadee's got this slightly terrified grin.
Let's see. I think that Chrysanthemum. Let's see. I'm trying to think here. I'm not always so good at thinking on my feet, like without stuff in front of me. So I'm just gonna spitball here. I feel like they maybe had some kind of really awkward first meeting, like maybe Rolona tripped and dumped a picture of something all over Chrysanthemum's head, and they just like had a good laugh over it. So every time Chrysanthemum sees Rolona, she like holds up her drink and is like, "Hey, remember that time?" And it's just like a lighthearted, "Oh shoot, this could be really bad" moment that both of them shared, and they just laughed it off. And now every time she sees her, she just thinks about that moment and kind of has a little giggle.
All right. That's something kind of lighthearted. This could have turned into a brawl and it didn't, and we kind of still laugh about it today.
Yeah.
I dig it. I dig it. How far would Chrysanthemum go to avoid being alone with Rolona?
To avoid being alone with Rolona?
Yeah. It's kind of open-ended. It's not necessarily all that bad. It doesn't have to be bad.
Yeah.
You get to decide how bad that is.
I think Chrysanthemum is probably a little bit intimidated, just because Rolona is bigger than her, and she's kind of heard a lot of stories about barbarians and their aggressive tendencies. So she's a little wary. She's kind of excited by having a friend who might be dangerous, and she doesn't want to push that too far. But as long as there are other people around, she's okay. So she wouldn't go to great lengths to avoid being alone with her, but she would just maybe kind of, in a situation, just kind of look around, like, are there other people around? Okay, I'm good. Until she gets to know her a little better. So it's more based on like reputation, what she has heard barbarians are like or can be like, and she's just a little bit wary and wants to make sure there are other people around.
That's reasonable. And keeps it kind of balanced. All right, cool. You got your two down. We're on a chick. Let's see, and then we're gonna hear about how Rolona and Shakira have bonded. Let's see. Oh, here's a fun one. So, Chickadee, what do Rolona and Shakira have a mutual weird love of?
Ooh, okay. Give me a second. I don't know how weird it is, but we both have a tendency to take like sticks and like put them in our mouth, like not like chewing on them, but like a toothpick almost, but like sticks.
Okay.
That's what I got.
Habit of chewing on things.
Yeah. There's a term for it, but we'll refrain.
So I'm putting down, both of them have a habit of chewing on random things. Sticks, toothpicks, daggers.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
All right. That was the easy one. Now the hard one. What is Rolona sure that Shakira is hiding from her?
Oh. Raylona is absolutely positive from the amount of times that Sharkira talks about like the water and going in the water that she's actually can't swim. She's like positive that she actually can't swim. She's just covering it up.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I love it.
That makes sense. And will become very relevant. Like, really relevant. Oh, hey, Orby. Absolutely relevant. Cool. All right, Ari. We've kept you out of it. You've seen how this works. We need to get you in here.
Alrighty then, let's go.
All right, so we want to hear about the Dwarven Rogue that has just started poking around the table with you guys. The one that Chrysanthemum keeps talking to, and now it's like she's invited him over to hang out. And as you think about it, you recall something. In particular, why do some members of Waterdeep seem to seek Drewmere out? He's only hung out with you for a bit, but you've heard that people go to him for things. What are they?
I would say maybe he can get you things that aren't allowed in Waterdeep. Maybe some kind of weapons that are banned in Waterdeep.
There are no weapons really banned in Waterdeep.
No weapons. Oh, okay. Well,
nope. Trust me, there's a lot of industry around moving weapons through Waterdeep.
Well, let's say maybe, let's take another angle to this. Maybe there are some banned spell books that maybe others should not have access to because they contain too much power. And with that power, not everyone has the responsibility to take it on.
All right, I like it. She's pretty sure that she's heard that Drewmere is the purveyor of forbidden magic. Just for clarity, Malloc, is he?
Well, I was planning on going Arcane Trickster, so that is kind of in line with it. He might not be able to do it yet, but he knows his way around a spell book, I suppose. Took a couple of classes on it.
Okay.
We can pick him out of a crowd, as it were.
Okay, that won't come back to haunt you later.
I'm sure it won't.
Absolutely won't. Okay, now let's see. So we did all those. Let's do these. We'll go back. We're going to keep picking on. No, we're not. I just have to make sure that one was easy. Now I have to make sure I fill in the rest of the table. So I have to pick a place and go with it. So let's go ahead and so we did that to that. So let's do this to here, Drewmere. Let's hear a little bit about. Actually, I think if we go backwards, it'll work out. About Shakira.
Drewmere only has had a bit of time with Shakira.
Correct.
Shakira.
So, what bad thing have you heard about this character that you can't believe is true? There are rumors about Shakira, and you're like, no, wait, that's just not legit. Or is it?
Well, how about this? Shakira is known to be a little bit loose with her spell targeting and perhaps would occasionally singe some allies with those burning hands. But that doesn't really seem like her. She seems very precise and straightforward. So she probably wouldn't be that sloppy, would she?
Okay. I've heard that she's a bit of a wild mage when it comes to targeting. That'll work. And then that'll take us over to here. So Ari, I would love to hear a little bit about our Barbarian. So, as far as Shakira knows, What does she really admire about Rellona, but could never tell her?
Ooh. Give me a second.
No, I gotta take time with it. These can be hard.
I would say that she admires Rellona's ability to go up to anyone without fear and get to know them and strike up a conversation. But she doesn't want her to know that because Sharkira is a very proud dark elf and doesn't want to be looked down upon as anything less than anybody else. But she is very, very jealous of Rellona in a good way, not in a mischievous way. She wants to be more social on the outside, like Rellona.
Oh, sounds like Chickadee in general just walks up to anyone and starts talking.
I have a habit of doing that at the grocery store.
We have one of those in the house. Every year I get a reminder of the incident where we were out somewhere and we said, "Where's Kaylee?" And someone goes, "Oh, she's over with that family playing card games." As we point halfway across the park, to which my wife goes, "Oh, I hope they don't kidnap her." And my son goes, "Yeah, let's hope." And then we all looked and they went, "Oh darn." But yeah, I'm familiar with that. No stranger danger concept. I'm down with that. But here's the follow-up though, Ari. There is. What does Sharkira do to intentionally annoy Rellona?
Stumped a little bit there.
What's something that would just get under her skin so much, and it's so fun to do?
Maybe when Rellona is speaking to others, being her sociable self, Sharkira goes up and inserts herself into the conversation in not so fun ways. Like maybe she begins to make the conversation about herself, or just one-on-one, like, "Hey, Rellona, you remember that one time that we did this and that?" Kind of excluding that new person that Rellona's talking to. But she knows that Rellona is not a fan of it, but secretly she enjoys it because she likes chaos.
I like it. That's solid. All right, Chickadee.
Right.
We're going to talk about the halfling.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. What plan do Rellona and Chrysanthemum have that most excites them? You two have a plan. You're excited to see if it can happen. It might be a big one, but someday you're gonna pull it off.
Let's see. I gotta go for something big, so hold on. This is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I knew it was going to be hard, but
hear.
I know.
Tricky to be creative.
I don't want to
on
be
the spot.
like a disappointment, I don't want to be like, it's going to be this. And everyone's like, oh.
That's a plan.
Like role players tend to be the most chill people. You're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think in my last game they wanted to open a bakery, so you really.
Yeah. Well,
as crazy as you want to get.
I'm imagining Waterdeep has kind of like a very big sense of diversity. So maybe me and Chrysanthemum are planning to have one of every brew that the tavern has to offer. It's kind of like Epcot. We're just going to drink our way around the tavern.
Now, when you say they offer, do you mean the Yawning Portal has on tap? Or are you thinking one of every brew served in Waterdeep?
Oh gosh, that would make it a much bigger challenge. Let's go with that one. Yeah.
Hey, a little bit.
We got this.
10 seconds. I don't care. Do you want to say hi to everybody? No? Come here, say hi. Please? All right, come say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We're going to bed because we have a busy day at school tomorrow. Do you want to show everybody your new haircut?
It's new. It looks so beautiful.
Okay, ready to show everybody? Ready to show everybody? All right, show everybody.
Gorgeous.
Oh, fancy.
10 out of 10.
Side cut.
We got the
Super
side
good.
cut.
Love it.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Everyone's
Super
saying
cool.
beautiful and they love it.
Thank you.
All right, give me a hug. Good night, sweetie.
Good night, Dad.
She was so ready for that side cut until she got in there and she was like, I want this. And the girl cutting had that look of like, this 9-year-old wants me to shave half her head. And then she starts looking at me like, what do you want me to do? And I went, whatever she wants.
Parent of the year.
And there was a lot of awkward
Awesome
back
dad
and
right
forth. And I don't think she got as much cut as she wanted because the girl cutting was like, I'm not going to go up all the way. I'm just going to go a little bit in case, because like you could tell she was scared.
Aw.
But Kaylee took it like a little champ.
Well, you can always cut off more hair. You can't add more on.
All right, you're right.
Yeah, and it will grow back.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, not
It
always.
does.
Yeah, the two of us are like, "Eh."
I used to have a blue mohawk, but not anymore. Can't grow it anymore.
Your mother yelled at me about that one.
Yeah?
Oh yeah. No, it wasn't that. It was the Jesus hair I got yelled at for.
Yeah, I had super long heavy metal hair for a
Yeah,
while.
would
too.
you just tell him to get a haircut already? You have influence with him. And my answer was, not as much as you think I do, and if I did, I wouldn't. I'm really sorry, Mrs. Malloc, but I can't do that. All of Waterdeep. And Quiz Bowler, glad to have you hanging out here. How has the bowl been? Quizzing you. Okay, now the bad news. Something bad. There's some bad blood between the two of you.
Oh no.
What is this character doing? Either knowingly or unknowingly, that hurts you.
She is constantly telling me that I smell so earthy and woody, and just my general lack of hygiene is like being minutely picked out without being an insult.
Backhanded compliments.
Yes.
Earthy smell. Earthy scents. Earthy musk.
There we go, musk. That's
Musk.
a good word.
That's a good word. And it drives her nuts. It hurts her. It's personal. It becomes one of those little like. That's a hard one to say. Don't do it to as well. Her effervescence. Effervescence. That works. Hey, Polly, glad to have you hanging out today. As we're kind of continuing with our backstory stuff, and getting ready for next week's full launch. Wow, what an earthly musk! It's so natural. That works. Okay, so Chrysanthemum has gotten to know Drewmere over the last couple of weeks. You know, hanging off on their own, watching people come and go in and out of the portal. So they've had some time to get to know each other. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is I rolled an 18, and this is the question you get. And I can't wait to see what happens. When did you first realize, or when did Chrysanthemum first realize that she loved Drewmere? Either platonically or romantically.
You know what you have to do.
You can go. I mean, it doesn't have to be. I will not.
Is this for me?
Oh no, this is for her.
Okay.
You just gotta deal with this one. And it can be a total platonic love. That is completely valid. I always maintain, maybe I'm outing myself too much, that Bert and Ernie are just truly really great guy friends. Like I really think, because I think we should celebrate that two people can really love each other, and it doesn't have to be because they're all about Tabby and Slot B. On the other hand, if there's a Tabby Slot B thing here, go for it.
So I'm answering this about Drewmere.
Yep. When did Chrysanthemum first realize that she either platonically or romantically loved him? And I want more than just like a date. Don't tell me daytime. Like, we need some details of the event. Which is tough.
This is a tough one. Oh boy.
I feel like you've gotten a couple of good hard ones.
I feel like I did. I feel like it was maybe the first time he tried to cover up her holy symbol. And it was maybe kind of an awkward, like around like an awkward hug or something, to where he thought he was being slick and she knew what he was doing. And it was funny. And she kind of just, she was really touched by the fact that he cared enough about her, because she travels a lot, she meets a lot of different people, but they're pretty transient. It's very much, hey, this is just, we're traveling together, this is convenient until I figure out, there's a group going somewhere else, I want to go see you guys, it's been great. So this was just the fact that he cared enough about her to go out of his way to be protective of her, even if it was kind of a dorky or awkward move. And she saw the care behind that, and was just kind of like, aw, he cares about me. And I think she probably knows what he's doing with the trying to, make sure she's not out there waving her holy symbol and attracting attention. She knows what he's doing, but she also knows that he would probably be embarrassed if he knew that she knew. So maybe sometimes she tries to make it harder for him, and to kind of, so he doesn't know that she knows he's being protective. And it's kind of fun for her, but she also loves that he cares enough to, go out of his way to look after her in that way.
Okay. That's slick, and it does make some sense. It's kind of building the character out well. Aside from knowing about the holy symbol thing, what secret is Chrysanthemum keeping that she would be devastated if Drewmere found out?
That's a hard one too.
Goodness, this is about your character.
Yes, that's that
That's
helps.
the one upside.
That helps.
Doop. Okay.
A secret that Chrysanthemum might have.
No. Polly suggests she thinks he's trash at opening locks and checking for traps. It's a little on point, but I'll allow the suggestion.
So maybe so following up with what I just said, she doesn't think he's that sneaky. Like he thinks he's very slick, but she, she's like, oh, that's a great trick, but she doesn't really think he's that good at what he does, but she's maybe willing to kind of help him cover up.
Protect the ego.
Yeah,
I can
exactly.
respect that. Oh, hey, you're welcome aboard tonight. Glad to have you hanging out. Okay, so Malloc, question for Drewmere. Talking about our barbarian. Based on what you know, how is she different from other barbarians you've encountered throughout the city and in the past? Or how is she different from other elves?
Oh, sorry. Dog is barking.
Yeah,
That is a tricky one. Let me give it a. How about in general, barbarians tend to be pretty rough around the edges, but Relona is more conventionally attractive than most barbarians. Like, catches a lot of attention, and maybe she doesn't realize it's about her looks or something like that. But like, whatever she's doing for her skin, it's working. Mud bath daily, it's working.
Love it.
And she doesn't see it. Cool. Boom. All right, Chicky, we got some questions for Chrysanthemum about Shakira. Wait, no, we don't. Hang on. I got to keep this fair. Relona. So, Chickadee, we got questions about Drewmere.
Okay.
You haven't had a chance to say something about the dwarf yet.
No, I'm ready.
Okay, that one's not applicable. I think we've already used that one tonight. What scandal in the town was Drewmere involved with?
Oh gosh. Well, people don't talk a lot about it, but it had to do with the brothel and a chicken. So.
We shall say no more. Those are my notes. There was something about a brothel and a chicken, and we shall say no more. That's coming back later, by the way.
I hope so.
A big fan of the noodle incident.
We talk about content and stuff. That's going to have to, yeah. That's actually on my list of things to talk about tonight. So, not the chicken part, but who knows? I mean, hey, you know, we don't. In my house, I've been teaching the kids since they were little. We do not yuck other people's yums. Oh, I mean, it's crazy, but it's like we consider this. Hey, Bobby Neon, glad to have you hanging out here. And thank you for gift subbing Ari and letting her get access to those emotes. That's awful generous of you, as always. But things like we've been telling the kids, you can't make other people play with you. They get to decide if they want to play or not. If you're playing make-believe, have a clear way of saying you are no longer having fun playing make-believe and you want to stop. I mean, this is basic stuff. Don't yuck other people's yums. I understand why this is all controversial.
Quality advice.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Ari, Shakira's gone to know the halfling cleric. They've bonded over drinks and they've bonded over talking about the various people going up and down, who would survive and who wouldn't. Where'd the question go? There it is. What would losing her mean to you? What would happen if you and if Shakira and Chrysanthemum were to split from each other? Or she died. Like that happens too.
That escalated quickly. I feel that Shakira would be a bit devastated because she, as social as she would like to be, she doesn't have anybody that's very close to her, and she feels a kind of kinship with Chrysanthemum and feels that she could really become an actual friend, a good close friend to her. So if she lost her, I feel like she would feel very, very alone, more alone than she has been actually by herself.
On the other hand, as much as you have bonded and built this friendship, What is something that Chrysanthemum has that Shakira is looking to take from her? And thank God this wasn't a question to the rogue. Because that's just saying up headaches.
Can you say it in a sentence?
Something she has that Shakira's like, but I need to get my hands on that because I should have it.
Ooh.
It's a tough one.
I really yeah, that is a tough one. I don't know. Maybe Sharkira doesn't know exactly what she has, but maybe she just wants to find out what she does have.
She knows the halfling is hiding something valuable.
Yes. Not sure what it is, but she desperately wants to find out.
No matter what it is, she wants it to keep and cuddle. Okay. Our last stop in the round robin of questions. Arwen, we want... Now you get to go back at Shakira.
Yeah.
We've already talked about plans. We did the debt. Okay. What is Chrysanthemum's private nickname for Shakira and why? I forgot how much I love this question because this reveals so much of both characters.
Private nickname.
Back of her head, she always calls Shakira Sharknado. The why is very critical if that's what we're going to go with.
Thank you for not giving me this question.
I'm just waiting for you to level up and get access to polymorph self.
Oh boy.
That's going to make this wizard an interesting one. Eggplant? A potentially interesting nickname. And welcome, Eric. Glad to have you hanging out.
Grumpy face.
Grumpy face. And how did that name come to be?
Because when Chrysanthemum first came in and she and Chickadee kind of zeroed in on each other, like, hey, that person looks interesting. I'm going to talk to them. Shakira looked really grumpy that Chickadee was talking to somebody else. Especially a dinky little halfling. She was like, she's my friend. Why are you over here trying to talk to my friend? And she just had a look on her face that was like, I don't like you and I don't know why you're here. So they chat, they've been hanging out. But she has a grumpy face that Chrysanthemum's just like, I know that's in there.
Resting drow faiths.
Resting drow. I saw that exactly.
I saw that.
Resting drow face.
Resting drow face. Okay. That'll work. Drow aren't known to be happy. It fits. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, we've had that. We've had that. Arwen, I'm really sorry.
Oh no.
You get all the really good questions.
Oh no.
How did this character betray you the last time you confided in them? What secret did Chrysanthemum share with Shakira that she immediately, or shortly thereafter, turned around and let out? Once again, telling us a great deal about both characters.
Yeah.
Because it could be trivial, in which case Shakira comes out pretty okay. Or it could be really big.
She can't hold her liquor. Like more than one drink. She wants to, you know, she and Chickadee have this plan of going through and, you know, going through Waterdeep one drink at a time, but more than like one drink, and Chrysanthemum's just flat on her face. And she's got to sip it really slowly.
And so she kind of like, she let Shakira in on the fact that she kind of knows she has a low tolerance. And
Yeah,
that became like a joke around the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
That's fair. That plays in well with the other things we've gotten. It is a little bit like a reality show. Role-playing games are a little bit like a reality show. And so the goal with this exercise is to get, because one of the things that always bugs me with any game of any role-playing game is so often it becomes well, you all just know each other.
Yeah, they always skip over that part, and that's like the most interesting part, certainly.
And I dig that we met in a bar. The four of you are all of the Yawning Portal, and stuff happens. I dig it, but then oftentimes a group will hit this spot where it's like, but why are we still hanging out with each other? Like, what's going on? And so what's really fun with this experience and this exercise is the opportunity to say, okay, well, they're sticking together because everyone so far has come up with some kind of a bond that everybody has. There's a reason the four of you are going to have each other's backs, which I think is really important at that first session.
Yeah, I have really been enjoying this process. This is new to me, and I really like it.
I've seen this done with Fiasco as well, a very similar idea. But I like this take on it that you're sort of picking a trait for someone else. That adds an extra level of fun to it.
Yep, Jonathan Gilmore and Doug Lewandowski wrote Kids on Bikes. It is, if you play any RPG, it's an absolute must-own in your library because for no other reason than these tables. And you can get the positive questions and for known relationships and the questions for non-known relationships for free on their website. Yes, this is where the question bank came from. This is a very hard to run RPG. I've only run it once on stream, and it did not go as well as it could have because this game is designed around you decide if you fail or not. For the most part, you still have dice, but it's a lot of players drive everything, and it can be very difficult to get out of like a game like D&D where there's a lot of "are we gonna?" and more into the "well, how hard do you think it should be?" I bet it's not that hard, and a lot of that player agency is really challenging for people to do. So that's where that's at. What I want to do, we've been sitting at the table, we've been at the table together for an hour and a half. I would love to take a 5-minute water break, come back, talk a little bit about table expectations, some safety tools, and kind of start to wind up our session 0 so we can start next week off in a really, really awesome place. So I'm going to leave everybody with some clips of the channel for the next few minutes. We're going to refresh the waters, and when we get back, we're going to finish out our session 0 housekeeping, be ready to start this game off. We'll see everybody back here in 5. As you seem to be doing really well with it.
Ooh, nat 20 to 25.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Scattered it.
Wow. Well, you can roll your damage. I don't
25. Because I got 3 6s.
Holy cow.
Oh my goodness.
She just hulked out. Rage hard.
Yeah, I think you should rage all the time. I think you should
like this
never
rage.
not.
Yeah.
Never
This
not be
is
raging.
it. Well,
There's
we get
where all our
2.
good rolls were hiding.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's why they were so bad earlier. We were saving up. But... Stop hitting my friends.
Oop, wrong
You're
way.
damage books with that kind of attitude.
Well played. Wow. You're swinging again.
Oh man,
Oh,
this
guy
guy.
is tough.
What's up with this guy?
What?
What? This doesn't happen. This doesn't happen. All right, we're going. Let's go.
Okay.
And followed by the smite. Come on, Timber. We got this.
I mean, if he doesn't go down now, I don't know.
And
but
he finally drops.
Yes.
And is out of the scrap. Gets to the guy in the...
You talking to me?
Yeah.
I don't know you. Who are you?
Someone who's trying to be polite. Maybe I'll reserve myself for now.
She'll walk over to the chair. Just kind of be like, nice to meet you. My name's Robin.
Tyrion, nice to meet you as well.
So you couldn't get into the Candlekeep either?
Look at my face. Most people don't let me into buildings.
I mean, that's...
Oh, jeez.
Boy, that sucks. Like, I feel bad for him. Like, hey.
I've never seen this before.
Unspeakable brutality.
Yeah, a little closer. Go to the right. Oh no, I dropped down. Oh no, I'm under us.
I think they're sinking.
Yeah, they're so...
Okay, drop the anchor so we can collect our stuff.
I'm gonna go. Common, mother clucker, do you speak it? We need some information. I'm not sorry, by the way.
Punch the... No, I know that's a bad idea.
There is so much nope surrounding this trap. I am not here for an amulet. I am here for a traumatized rogue. Let's get the fuck out of here. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's two.
Well, I wasn't really concerned about the amulet. I just thought that...
Yeah.
Yes.
So we assume this guy is bad.
Oh, he's super bad.
Well, you know.
Okay. That's all I needed to know.
Good.
I mean, he keeps on trying to... He's a dick. He keeps on trying to coerce Irina into coming up to his castle and fucking die, become a vampire lady. And she's not into it.
Well, I mean, you know, okay.
Throaty chuckle fills the hall. And I'll hydrate after that.
Does it just sound like Bowser from Mario 64?
I gotta grab a refill and then I'll hydrate.
And I'll refresh this so we can see the results of the command. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Hang on, guys.
Well, that just sounds like Jabba the Hutt. Solo.
But there's a way to check if you really want to know.
I'm intrigued.
Cut your hand. Bleed in front of her.
Got it.
I mean, but if she's...
Yeah, I didn't think I'd do it. I so did it. Smell it?
But like... She could not necessarily
So
be a
positive right there.
vampire.
Well, you're
She'd be,
saying
like,
that she is a vampire, so...
Or she's like possessed by one, or like
cutting her hand open,
or like the
in the middle
leader
of Strahd's domain.
Wait, her
Sounds
hand or
like-
my
not
hand? I
hers,
just cut
not
my hand
hers.
open.
Not
Sounds
hers.
like a
James.
fantastic idea. Oh.
I didn't have to cut my hand open. We need to cut her hand open.
Oh.
No.
Come here, girl. Come on.
no, you
I'm
mean to
already
say-
bleeding.
James just like waving his bloody hand in
Like, come
Irina's
on.
face.
Go ahead and roll me a performance check. Maybe the dice are going to favor you at the moment.
Also, are
Can't
we
be an
can we-
intimidation? I can't like intimidate the rhyme
No.
with my music. Okay.
No.
Well,
Can
I
we
thought I
do
would try.
it's an intimidation music.
Or I
though.
can't persuade them to not sing with my music. Okay.
What's up,
Can
Molly?
Can we do anything when we're singing, or is that like it takes up our whole action?
Oh, it doesn't.
Come on.
It doesn't. Oh, good lord. Yeah,
Finally.
I'm over here
I
trying.
finally can bard. For just
Yeah.
let me bard. I never get to bard. I'm always doing failing rolls when it comes to bard skills.
The bard
This
is
the
being
first time.
hard.
You're barding when it's most important.
It's about time.
MVP.
Sweden is my lucky country.
No
All right.
kidding.
Way.
And we're back. Cool. One of the fun things we were talking about this before we came back. I was showing Chickadee that we have character art coming in. The character work for Drewmere and for Chrysanthemum are more or less done. This is the artist's sketch so far of Relona. Ready to rock and roll. I had to ask for the axe to be added because originally the hand was just sort of out there in space. I'm like, no. We need to put something in that hand.
An axe is definitely better. So
yeah. So she's looking sufficiently badass. And I will fully admit, as we kind of move from the backstories into some more table expectations, I am not good at killing characters. I don't like doing it. It's kind of like the genie with the wishes. Don't make me do what you want, like it. And in our Curse of Strahd game, one of the characters made an oath to a revenant that he would protect Irina onto and through death. And then he got crushed in a death trap in the castle. And when the trap reset, he picked himself up and resumed protecting Irina as a revenant.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Nice.
And it's like, I mean, it worked. It worked thematically, and it worked with his oath. And then it created this wonderful moment at the end of the game, where I won't give a lot of details, but there was a choice to be made of, okay, we've finished the adventure. Is he going to die now? Or does he return to being human? And the decision by the powers that be that could make that decision, again, I won't totally spoil it, were that he would become human again. Which again made for some really fun role play and a really great end to that adventure. And you can see all 14 episodes of Curse of Strahd on our YouTube channel. And there are some really good moments. That was one where I thought we were running like Lovecraftian horror. They were going to be scared and spooked and kind of like just creeping along like, oh my God, what's going to kill us next? And instead I got the Ghostbusters.
Oh, I was going to guess Scooby-Doo.
I saw bits and pieces of that campaign. It was quite a ride.
Yeah, it was. And what's my big takeaway as a DM is it was still incredibly fun to run. And as wackadoodle as everybody like Azteki were, it still had horror to it. Like Ghostbusters is still a scary movie on certain levels. It's just really funny too. There's a lot of good laughs along the way. And that's what I love about that group. And you guys are supposed to fill their spot.
Oh no.
Oh gosh.
Just so you know.
No
pressure.
No, every game sort of takes its own form. I'm sure we'll figure out what ours is eventually. Or it'll just happen. Yeah.
Just as long as it doesn't end up starting to feel like a Stanley Kubrick film, I'll be okay. I'm just saying we can do a lot of different themes. Rob Reiner's okay. Michael Bay.
John Carpenter's in the game. That'd be fine. I just start turning into a horrible flesh abomination. It's not Kubrick.
Yeah, no Kafka.
Right.
I gotta draw a line somewhere.
Fair enough.
And a little Shirley Jackson we can do. I've done that one before. But yeah, no. Michael Bay's good. I tried so hard after the second to last Harry Potter movie to start the online rumor that Michael Bay was doing the last Harry Potter movie. I wanted that rumor to get legs.
Oh, that would be
wish
such
I
a
known.
unique movie.
Okay, tell me, everyone, you would pay $6 to see that on the screen.
To see that.
Absolutely.
That would get viewed regularly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Did a movie night, Cage in a Cage, where we did Con Air and then The Rock. So he's breaking out of prison, then breaking back in. Fantastic.
That's awesome.
That's exciting.
That is really good. Okay, question. What season? Should the game be? Okay, so from a game point of view, there's one thing left to decide, and that is what season we are engaging with. Now, in full disclosure, like Curse of Strahd. Okay, let me do that. Always pay $6 for a train wreck. I don't know, Salius, if a Michael Bay Harry Potter film would be a train wreck.
It'd be very interesting.
It'd be a lot of things magically blown up.
Absolutely.
Which is only awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought that was like Ian McGregor's like summary of working with Michael Bay was he'd walk in one morning and Michael would go, "So today we're going to blow shit up. Are you excited to blow shit up?" And you only had one answer, which is yes.
Yes, absolutely.
So Curse of Strahd has the tarot card reading at the beginning of the game, and that determines all kinds of neat things like who Strahd's enemy is, what an NPC ally is going to join your party, where the major magic items are located throughout the castle and the lands. And so theoretically, even if you've played it once, you can play it again, but there's all those little quirks because you don't always know for sure where certain things are because you get a new puzzle. Dragon Heist is written in the same vein. There are actually 4 adventures here. They start with the same prologue. You see a mushroom platform 9 3/4 and you're on Harry Flyway on broomsticks wearing aviators. See, I would pay to see that. I would pay to see Ron go, "I love the smell of magical napalm in the morning."
That was said far too calmly to be Ron.
And Hermione go,
That's fair. That's fair.
"It's not napalm. It's Incendiano." Anyway.
It's not napalm, it's napalm.
I'll recover in a second. Whew.
Good night.
Good night. And the teen's off to bed. Napalm. Okay, so Dragon Heist is very similar. We have 4 adventures in one. No, otherwise it's just flaming gel.
Yeah.
We asked the big question is what season we're in. And so I just threw a poll. I've thrown a poll out to chat while I was prefacing this, so they do get a bit of a say into what we're going to do. But everybody else is obviously going to. I mean, the 4 of you really are the big deciders here. Based on what time of year it's going to affect, it's not really going to affect a lot mechanically. I mean, there's stuff in there that says, "Oh, if it's in the fall, this should happen," and it's bookkeeping I don't want to do unless y'all are really into that kind of bookkeeping. The bigger thing is what basic story arc we're going to follow. The good news is none of you have played Dragon Heist before, so you don't know any of the story arcs. So that's completely free. It just becomes, what do you want the town to look like? Do you want that fresh, everything's warming up, people are starting to wear a few less layers of spring? Do you want that heavy sun beating down on cobblestones of summer? That everybody has a new ale to sample of fall, or the trudging through snow-packed streets in the winter?
I mean, personally, I like the idea of the whole freshness of spring and like new season. Everyone's getting ready to do new things, and like now's the time. Like, let's get on it. So that whole energy there.
I would say it would be pretty funny to me if we had we did winter, and it was like an especially snowy winter because we have 2 very vertically challenged individuals,
That is a good
That might
point.
present some interesting fun.
There's some potentials there.
Does anybody have a shield?
I think I do. Let me check my inventory.
Because shields make great ski sleds.
Yes.
Say sledding.
Yeah, it's like I see a lot of shenanigans down tight alleyways with an overturned shield on snow.
I do have a shield.
Was low-key the best mechanic in Breath of the Wild. It's so good.
Yes. Yes.
Exactly why I voted for Winter. Winter, by the way, is currently winning in the poll with a few seconds left to go. Can you sign on to that, Chickadee?
I mean, I'm flexible, but I'm just saying, mine's right.
She is the barbarian, so
You have a choice, but any choice but mine is the right. Is the wrong.
Yeah. Every other
You have a
choice is
choice.
wrong. You can
I'm
pick whatever you
flexible,
want,
but you're
the other
not.
ones are wrong.
we should let her have it. Why? Well, because wizards aren't known for pulling people's arms out of their sockets when they get argued with.
Oh.
Well, because I am a dark elf, my opinion is actually always the correct one. So, I
We're
don't
gonna have a
know.
lot of fun.
I feel like there is something very, maybe I just love chaos, but I feel like there's something very ominous and mysterious about winter. So just that season of our game really, really intrigues me. Of all the shenanigans things that could go down.
I can dig it.
I'm not gonna lie. There's a little part of it's like it's kind of cool too because it's going to take us probably into the campaign needs more Fignar fart bellows.
Larkin's in the chat.
Ah, well, glad to see ya. I'll assume that's who Cheesecake is.
Yeah, that's him.
Dude, okay, you need to hit somebody hit socials. I'll hit socials. We need a reunion tour.
I'd be down.
Well, I know. Well, LB's around, and we know Spinny's around. I can put together a one shot.
I don't remember who else was in the group other than the four of that.
I think that was it.
Was it only four? Solid.
Oh wait, we'd have to get Dan the Man.
Oh, that's right. I can't remember who he played, but he was usually part of that group.
Yeah, we'd have to get him in here. Even if it's a Monster of Week, we need to get the gang back together. Because for 2 summers, that would be the group that I ran because someone said, hey, we should invite our old teacher to play D&D with us. And he showed up at the meeting with a newborn because that's what he had.
Yep.
And then they said, okay, so who's running the game? And there was, I kid you not, 8 consecutive minutes of silence. The waitress came by twice.
You know, honestly, it's a little fuzzy, my memory from that, but that sounds about right.
And then I went, I guess I'm running it, aren't I? And I've been in the DM's chair ever since. Send help. But, so it sounds like we're doing winter. We can do winter. Fresh snow everywhere. And it's that nice, bright, gray kind because it's in a city where people throw their shit out the windows.
You chose this.
I did?
Not you. I don't know. Maybe. Did you vote?
No, I'm just watching. I'm just watching. And then tonight, I'm looking up what happens in the winter story arc because I haven't read that one yet.
Perfect.
No regrets.
No regrets.
Absolutely not. Okay, now comes the hard part, and this is the part that is. And Cheesecake, thank you for following and joining the community. It'll be great to have you hanging out with us more often. Session 0 often has a lot of moving parts to it, a lot of things that get done and talked about. We did kind of like the fun stuff to start everything off, but we also do at some point have to sit down and do like some of the harder stuff. And I'm rather than passing out a particular a sheet to everyone to fill in, what I want to do is kind of go over communication tools that we have first and foremost. The 5 of us are all active on a Discord chat together, And that's going to be our first and easiest way to communicate about table issues when we're not at the table together. So if something happens in a game where things go a little off the rails, we have a little bit of a budding relationship happening. So that could possibly take a turn that makes either Malloc or Arwen a little bit like, or any of us might kind of stop and go, that was a little weird. Don't do that again. Discord's it's going to be, I think, our first line of defense to talk about it either as a group, or the 4 of you are obviously welcome to message me privately on Discord to say, last session X happened and it made me feel Y. And that's probably the best way to open that conversation. Because you own your reactions. And I want this table to be one everybody is comfortable at, so that we are all here every week having a good time. And if anything is starting to impede with that fun, I want to help fix it and be part of that positive, like, hey, we need to have this conversation. And unfortunately, I have known of groups that have had to have hard talks with people. And they can range anywhere from content being awkward to a particular case of having a player not understand the line between the table and reality. And having those conversations of, yeah, but you did this to my character. Well, no, my character did it to your character, kind of thing. So that's our first line of defense. Second line is that I asked Malloc to be in charge of the Zoom chat in the form of, I have so many windows open, I don't see Zoom chat. So if anyone wants to say anything to the table without it being out on the stream, that's another good tool to share it to, so that we can have that conversation and make sure we're doing okay. And if I'm not reacting to it, it's Malloc's job to say something to remind me I should check the Zoom chat because something's going on that I should know about. It's also completely it should not be interpreted as anything other than someone saying it. If any of you want to remind me to check the Zoom chat for something that you're sharing with me in real time, it should not be considered anything other than just saying, hey, Rob, I sent you something. Discord's also a good spot for that because it'll actually pop up a notification on my screen too. And I will admit, between your character sheets, the game book, the spreadsheets, the combat tracker, stream chat, the dice roller, and the initiative tracker, I lose track of my windows.
Yeah.
So please help me.
You haven't gotten the 8 monitor display yet?
I have been told I'm not allowed more than 3 because when you go to 4, you are now in evil villain territory.
But how is that a bad thing?
I don't know.
I think the term mastermind is preferred.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
Until you start doing this,
I'm
that
not.
would be a problem.
Yeah, I haven't made enough money at it to be a mastermind. I'm just a villain.
You are a professional.
Yeah, I am all. To a degree, we're all evil villains, but we are evil villains, and we're also that harmless little urchin that's just trying to help. Surely, spare a coin, governor. I can tell you where to find what you're looking for. That's not an evil villain. Okay, never mind. It is.
Please, sir. Sorry, I have tiny hands.
And she's not even playing the halfling.
I have too many props. I need to calm down.
No, you don't. You really don't.
Don't hold back on our account.
Nope.
Oh, it can get much worse. Ooh.
No, and Dragon Heist is a good game for that because it has a lot of good. You have 4 screens. See? Evil villain layer, dude. That's where you're at. Just saying. And to be fair, my 3rd was kind of a freebie. I got it off one of those Facebook, please come pick up. So, very happy with it. Anyway, this then leads into what I like the traffic lights, which is in any context. It can be verbally, it can be somewhere on one of the chat programs we've discussed. Let me know what light we're at. If it's anything, if it's moving out of green, yellow lets me know when someone sends me any kind of message of yellow. So if Chickadee says, hey, just Lantern, by the way, I'm kind of feeling like we're at a yellow. What that says to me is that I'm going to pause what I'm saying right now. And we are going to welcome everybody from that other pond over. Because we just got raided.
Hey.
And that's what happens. I saw the pond was on tonight, and I was really excited, and I was busy doing prep work. Plus, another friend of mine was on the front page, but I would have been there otherwise. So welcome, and thank you for coming on in and bringing your people to us, Pond. For those that do not know her, that other Pond is one of the players in my Wednesday night game. And she is actually playing this amazing... is it a barbarian or a human or fighter? I forget. She looks badass. That's all I know. I've seen the painting. But she is an amazing content creator. She runs D&D also on Sunday nights. Fighter, cool. A really big sword. But Pond herself is just an amazing content creator and streamer. And if you're not following her, you have to, because whether it's D&D or Fortnite, she just puts it all out there and has a great time with her community. And I am truly blessed to count her among my friends. As everybody who's coming on in, who already know the awesomeness which is Pond, my name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir. I predominantly run D&D content or D&D related similar adjacent games. If I'm not running a D&D, and tonight we are having session 0 of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and we are into the hardest, most awkward part of the night, which is, as part of a session 0, we are talking about how to make sure everyone at the table has a good time, and if things get weird, how to communicate that things got weird so that they can stop being weird and we can get back to having fun. Yes, that's everything. And Valberto, thank you for joining the table. We're hoping to see you here in the future then. I'm going to take a second to hydrate. And get back to where I was. I will also take a second to mention that, yes, you can get a really awesome water bottle with the Lantern Noir Pride D20 on the merch store. It's not this one. This one's a sticker, but it's got that sticker on. I'm tired. I have to work in the morning. They've called it a terrorist threat to my school. I'm kind of all over the map.
Jeez.
Boy.
The cops have said it's not likely real, but I've already gotten one email from a student saying they're not coming out of an abundance of caution.
I wouldn't even call that abundance, I don't think.
Yeah, there's a reason the whiskey's
Reasonable
already
caution.
gone. So anyway, speaking of cautions, Yellow lets me know that the scene is generally okay-ish, but we need to move out of it because it has potential to get ugly or uncomfortable. And so this could be anything from an interrogation scene that has taken a twist that's making someone feel stressed. It can be a romantic scene that's getting a little more graphic than people are okay with. Yellow is any kind of communication of Yellow in any format. It's telling me and or the table, we need to, this is great. This is danger zone. Let's move on to something different. Now, a follow-up to that, we can also do things to either fade to black and let whatever was happening continue, or we can change course. And that's usually part of the conversation we'll have. When a Yellow gets called, we'll have a conversation about what are we doing with it? Are we fading it out? Are we changing course? What's everyone's comfort zones? And if we can't resolve that quickly, or it escalated faster than we thought we were ready for. So one moment, everything's clipping along at a nice pace, and the next minute, Drewmere is prying a man's eyeball out with a dagger. Somebody might say that's a little more than I was ready for. That's a red. At a red, I will immediately wrap things up with a polite, we're taking a short break. So if I were to see in the Zoom chat, this is a red light moment, I will politely tell the audience that we are taking a short break to refresh our water. I'll put us into a BRB. And then once we've all had a chance to kind of stop and consider what's been happening, we get to kind of decide how we want to proceed. It's not possible that we call it a night. And that's no fault of anybody at the table. If something happens that we're just like, it shook us more than we were ready to play, I have no judgment against anyone who says, I kind of want to call it a night. I want to sleep on this. I should be fine by next Sunday, but let's not go back to that scene. And as a part of my bond with you as my players, I will not out to anybody how that conversation happened. I will never go on Twitter and say, oh my gosh, we were having a great game until Ari got all pissed off about. Because that's not the way I roll, and that's not cool to you. And I'm grateful that you're putting yourselves out there by being here so publicly playing D&D with me, that your squicks are yours alone. Now, your character squicks, we are totally playing with those. But that's a different kind of squick. What kind of questions or thoughts do y'all have about this, about the safety tools so far?
I think you've been very concise and clear about them, and I'm happy with where things are.
Yeah, I really appreciate the discussion. I'm feeling pretty good about that.
100% agree. Yeah.
Always glad to hear it.
Yeah. And because I always like to include it when we stream a session 0 because I think it's important to model. And I will also add on to it to anybody thinking, oh, well, all the players were kind of cool. It didn't need to be said. It needs to be said. I think it is important to have that conversation to get them out there. So we're all on the same page with each other. No one's overly surprised by things or anything else that kind of ties into that. And then please don't ever be afraid to call a yellow or a red. I was going to say pull, but I mean like pull out a yellow or a red card. Because I'd rather have us pause what we're doing than have somebody not want to come back next week. Not just from the pain in the butt of scheduling, but just because so far I kind of like everybody. And that's a good
news.
thing. Yeah.
We're here to have fun. If it gets to be not having fun, we should talk about that.
100%.
Totally.
Kinda. And Skag, welcome aboard. We're glad to have you here as you kind of come in on this the session 0, the heavy part of a session 0, which I probably should have done before I finished my double whiskey on the rocks. And it's good. My wife just did a Ragnar run down in Kentucky and brought me back a bottle of whiskey for our bronze anniversary. We celebrated 19 years this week.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's bronze.
You get up to Grandmaster at like 50?
I guess. Well, what's fun, next year we are celebrating 20 and my parents are celebrating 50. And it's within a month of each other. And my mom's like, we should go to Disney. And I'm like, Disney? F Disney. We're renting a hall and we're hiring a band.
Oh, yeah.
We are having a freaking party.
Yes.
That's
50
exciting.
years? I mean, I'm riding the coattails at 20. I consider 20 an accomplishment.
They had a bit of a head start.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. They did that. You did that Ragnar, Polly. Congratulations. Anyone who does a Ragnar is amazing. Ragnars are amazing races. For those not familiar, it's a 1 to 200 mile relay race run over a consecutive 24 to 36 hours.
Oh.
So everyone takes turns running. Anywhere from 3 to 5 miles at a stretch. And it's
we were talking about whiskey, I assumed it was like cars and bootlegging.
No. No, this particular one is between distilleries too.
Wow.
And pre-COVID, you got like you went into the tasting room at the checkpoints. And with COVID, they're a little more like, here, have a little like Dixie cup, goodbye. Oh, and there's the hand sanitizer.
Nothing quite like having a little bit of whiskey when you're hours into running.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Either way. Speaking of whiskey.
That's the Drew.
What kind is it? Is the question.
I don't remember
I feel
it.
like-
The bottle looks expensive. That's all I remember.
That's all that matters.
Could run the Hood to Coast, Mount Hood. She did that this summer too. She's been doing a lot of Ragnar to make up for the whole COVID thing, where she couldn't do any. I'm not going to pass out a survey. They have them. And they're really comprehensive, but I don't want to get into checklists tonight or even this week, as much as to say that between now and Sunday, if there are any like red spots for things that are like, if this happens, I'm definitely going to be calling a red that you know of ahead of time. I'm going to ask all the 4 of you to say something to me on Discord about them. I might check in with you Friday to say, I haven't heard anything. I'm assuming you don't know of any yet. And that's not to say you don't have any. It's that you just don't know they are yet. I will be honest, you will never deal with eyeballs. It's not happening. Nobody's eyes are going to bleed. Nobody's eyes are getting gouged out. In no brawler are they going to put their thumbs in your eyes. I don't do eyes, and if you try to do eyes, we're going to have a yellow moment from the DM's point of view. I don't know why that is, but I am super squicky about eyeballs.
That is fair.
I understand.
I think it was something I watched as a kid. I mean, it wasn't the Thriller video, which also gave me nightmares.
I was gonna say.
Does that include? Okay, now beholders are a little different, but let me clarify. If you were to fight a beholder, you will not stab it through the eye. Which I granted, I realize there's a certain challenge in not stabbing a beholder through the eye.
I was gonna say it's the whole thing is eyeball.
Yes, but you can.
I get it.
Yeah, you can hit it lots of other places.
Yeah.
Which is also, I have to remember, because there are beholders in this adventure. Actually, I don't know if there are, because you guys picked... Yeah, you're Waterdeep. There are beholders in Waterdeep.
Oh, I couldn't remember Xanathar in Waterdeep, or is that a different one?
Yeah, that would be one of them. And here's another little bit of DM insight. I know Jackin about the Forgotten Realms. I generally homebrew all my stuff. So if you have any extensive knowledge of the Forgotten Realms, you're ahead of me. And feel free to correct me from time to time, because it won't really affect the plot, but it might affect some of the lore and interesting quirks.
I mostly only have it from the Baldur's Gate games, and then I'm running Descent into Avernus, so I've looked up a bunch of topical stuff.
Sweet. Yeah, I wish I knew more about it. I spend so much time writing story arcs, I don't really spend time researching the lore.
See, that's my trick. I prepare very little. I just Google a lot.
That works.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Speaking of combat, hit points. As a general rule, I consider hit points to be your general ability to keep fighting, not how many health points you have. Things that can affect your hit points are slipping in a fight, losing your footing, having to put more energy into defense and becoming winded, being tripped and pushed about will make you start to lose control of the fight. It is entirely possible in my mind to go from 30 to 1 hit point and never have been hit with a weapon. When you get the last hit, that might be finally where your defenses have fallen enough that you can get stabbed. Now, it's not to say that you can't get hit in the meantime, but as a general rule, I get nervous about hit points representing you've been hit and that wound is as big as, because so many things in D&D are tied to just getting hit in general. It starts to break down. So I like to kind of keep that hit point more as a abstraction of your ability to keep going, if that works. Now, that's not to say like a 9 hit point hit probably wasn't an actual hit. If the enemy captain gets through and takes a swing at Shakira, she might actually get hit even though she still has 1 or 2 hit points left. Because that makes sense thematically. And you are absolutely free to contribute to how hurt you are. And then I suggest you strongly advise Chrysanthemum about how you're doing, because she's going to be the one that keeps you all from dying.
That's what I'm here for.
No party should move faster than the healer is comfortable with. Yes, I mained on a cleric for all 80 levels.
Yeah, I was going to say, having said that, don't feel obligated to heal. Like, no one wants that responsibility. Just heal when you want to.
Well, as we said,
depends on how nice you all are to me.
I have a lot of spells. None of them heal stupid.
Exactly.
Obsidian, welcome to the table. We're wrapping up our session 0 and talking about some expectations. And now the juicy stuff. Now that the kids are in bed, we're after 9. I don't feel so weird talking about it. At the table, obviously, I don't mind an adult beverage while we play. I am going to ask that we keep ourselves to the liquid variety, given that every state still has some funky rules about other stuff. A little bit of disclosure: my students have found my Twitch stream, so I would prefer to keep my job through June. So if all of us can kind of agree to limit our references to things which are legal in all 50 states, I will be in your debt.
This is a prop, by the way. I just
We-
you're aware. There's nothing in here.
We will just assume it is fine Virginia tobacco.
I am also in that same boat, so.
It might be bubbles for all I know. I don't know. There's nothing in here. The whole is
Bubbles work. Bubbles work. The best part about being gray through here is nobody doubts that I'm over 21.
That's fair.
My God, I started getting some in my beard myself, and I'm like, how did this happen? Where did this come from? Is this why I keep shaving?
Dude, embrace it. Embrace
no
it.
worries.
The sideburns. Yeah, that's another place you get them. Yeah. Yeah. It comes for all of us. Anyway, your characters are free to imbibe in anything and everything they want, and I will generally not get in the way. The advantage of Waterdeep, alcohol is plentiful, as are different kinds of powders, tobaccos, other pipe weeds. As long as it doesn't derail the game terribly, it shouldn't be any kind of real problem. If you want to go finding the really illicit stuff, we can do a quest for that. I might ask you in Discord the week before, like, why are we doing this? And if y'all got a good in-character reason, I will put up the encounters and it will happen. You are free to take this game wherever you want to take it. That's up to you. But I'd like that to stay strictly in character. There is a brothel at some point in the game. As a general rule, I'm relatively sex work positive. Like, if people want to do that, that's a thing. And Waterdeep will have a guild that oversees that kind of work. If that's not something you're totally kosher with, either now's a good time to say something, or we can talk on Discord and we can negotiate a way around that. I don't mind either way, but I just want to make sure that we don't get to a spot where we get through that we starve that story arc and then suddenly, because I know that's coming. And I think it's going to be okay. I think y'all are going to have fun with it. But if you know now, like, your mind's already going, oh man, I can't do that. That's awkward. Just let me know, and I can make some adjustments between now and week 3, and we'll work that out. As far as I know, I don't think there's anything else crazy, like anything else that pushes the PG-13 envelope that's codified in the adventure. But again, I'll ask if there's saying that you think might be that you want to say so. We've got the tools to say it. Everyone looks kind of okay so far.
Fantastic.
Speaking of Conan the Librarian, welcome to the chat. And thank you for dropping the follow. We're glad to have you as part of our family. That is kind of awesome. So we're playing the game in the winter. And thank you, Proxima. This is one of those, like I said at the beginning of the session zero talk, getting the things out there, letting your players have time to process it, giving them the tools to talk to you about it. Even if they say nothing here on stream, so they have the opportunity to say something off stream. I think it's just so critical because, again, I want to head this stuff off at the pass. Don't want anybody
better to over communicate than under communicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I tell my students that most conflict in life comes from misaligned expectations. You said you were going together. She thought that meant you didn't TikTok, you didn't Snapchat anybody else. You thought it meant you only Snapchatted, but you didn't do anything else with other people. Misaligned expectations gonna lead to some conflict.
If only we were all psychic. Everything would, well, probably not be a lot simpler. Probably be more complicated, in fact.
Arwen, how terrifying would it be to be able to read people's minds at work?
Well, students, or because I work with pre-K through 6th grade, and they pretty much have no filter. So whatever comes into their mind, I hear anyway. The coworkers, no, thank you. Although, so I'm a speech language pathologist at an elementary school, and I really feel that misaligned expectations hard because I get, you know, so many people that don't understand what I do and expect me to do something that I have no intention of and no experience with, and then I've had that be a big issue before. So, I feel that. Yeah. But no, I know pretty much what's going on my kids' minds at any given moment because they don't hide it very well.
I've got teenagers. I know what's going on in their minds, and I like not hearing them say it.
Yeah. Sixth graders are a little bit better. They're learning how to not say things, but they're not very good at hiding it yet.
Neither are high schoolers. Just saying, they think they're all suave. Like, no, I know what you're looking at.
Yep.
Anyway, I think that covers that. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on my checklist tonight. We've done the fun stuff. We've done the heavy stuff. I'm skimming down. There's a checklist I found here that covers everything else. We've talked about various different things. On a rules point of view, my general rule is at the table that we can debate something for about 120 seconds, about 2 minutes of debate, and then I'll just call it and we move on. And if we have to sit down later to talk about what happened, that's fine. I'm a writer at heart, not a rules lawyer, but I try really hard to rules lawyer when I'm presented with it. So the nice part with D&D Beyond, if you show me what it is you're reading, I can generally read it, get the gist of it, and make a quick ruling on it. The biggest one is grappling, and I've always played at the table that grappling requires a successful attack first. It's not just a dive in on an opposed strength check. You have to actually make contact with the enemy. But the rest
grappling
of them
has never been easy in any edition. It's always absolutely it grinds everything to a halt sometimes.
Yeah, and I know that the Barbarian is going to at some point want to take that 16 strength out for a spin.
Oh yeah.
I can see that coming.
Oh no, never.
No, it's not like rage gives you an advantage on it or anything.
I'm here for my intellect, okay? Stop staring at my muscles. Did I just get yellow carded? I'm sorry.
Nope.
No, I think you broke his brain for a second there.
Nope, we're good.
That was
We're
real
good.
clever.
Yes, we don't have a monk. We're fine. Yes, and I have a game that has a monk, and it can be very difficult sometimes to keep track of all the things that she can do in a single combat round. Because I don't totally trust my reading of the rules yet. So, but yeah, so far we can pull it all off. Flying airliner is used to fly a spaceship. Very good point, Conan. Yeah. Where was I looking at my little cheat sheet there of stuff? Player versus player. We will never roll dice when we fight each other. If y'all decide to get in a scrap, the dice are not coming onto the table. And the reason I do that is I don't like the idea of anyone's characters being taken over or anyone's story arcs being taken away from them by other people at the table, strictly by a roll of the dice. I also think that we're relatively intelligent people. I don't see Ari arguing too hard if Chickadee says that Rolanda picks up Shakira and throws her across the room. That's probably going to happen. Assuming she gets her hands on her and sends Ari up to give Shakira a 10 dex, it's probably going to happen. Those heels, man, you really need to get into something more comfortable. I'm just saying, it's slowing you down, girl. But that's something that I'm really like, I don't want anyone to feel like it's that sense of fairness that always bugs me. As we level up, if you start to get overly optimized, I'll say something, but I don't think that's going to be a problem at the table. I think we're all relatively new-ish. So that won't be a big thing. We're all looking like we're doing characters as a team. I think we're okay. I will also put out there, as kind of my wrapping up of things, I don't do direct harm on screen to children. That's not something we're going to have to deal with. But I have been known to have implied harm to children as part of a story arc. I do consider myself an ally. You will encounter characters of alternate sexual identities. You will encounter characters that are non-binary. You might encounter characters who are trans. And if that's something that's going to be an issue, let me know. I can write them out. I'd prefer not to, because I like to have the world be as rich and diverse as ours. And ours is pretty freaking diverse and epic. I want everyone that comes by, whether it's player or viewer, to have a chance to see themselves somewhere in the story. There might even be somebody in a combat wheelchair. Just saying. I think they're kind of rad.
Love it.
Great and Wild Wild West.
Awesome.
That takes combat wheelchair to a whole new level.
Oh my goodness. The show is so good. Movie was so great.
Awesome.
Right, sorry.
No. And by the way, anyone that that was you, Matt. I was like, anyone who takes a monk to level 20, good God.
Yeah, man. I had a full sheet for my reference sheet just for combat, like 10-point font. It was nuts.
That's a lot of options. Jetpack wheelchair, no.
Not in the current set.
Nope, not in the same. There are firearms in this setting, which I'm not totally comfortable with, but they're there, and I'll work around them. Just as a heads up on that one, I wasn't totally ready for that when I was reading through it. I'm like, oh, they get guns? All right. Well, they get guns. We can make it work. Science, welcome aboard. We are actually at the back end of this. We're kind of winding down. We've been hanging out. I feel kind of ready to start playing, which means we should stop so that we don't have to just rush a mini encounter. And then the biggest question, do we want to do it now on stream or do we want to do it on Discord? Are we playing next Sunday?
Yeah, I'm game.
What am I doing next Sunday?
It's Halloween night.
Oh, shit.
I do have obligations that night.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's
Party
fine.
pooper.
That's not a part. No, I kind of expected that, to be really honest. I'm old and I don't do fun things. So I have the night open and free. I do not expect it of others. And if I'm not, since we're not meeting as a group to play, our first official session then will be on November 7th. He said checking the calendar because his brain is old and he forgets.
I pulled up my calendar too.
I wouldn't be able to do that in my head.
Yep. I get to blame age. It's so fun. I can blame so much on my age. It's great. The best part of getting old. I'm sorry. I'm old. You realize that when I was a kid, Rick Astley was actually a good singer that we listened to non-ironically. Just saying. And I remember the video on MTV, non-ironically.
Remember when MTV had videos?
I still remember giving a girl that I liked a mixed tape that I made just for her.
Ooh. Oh, those were the good days.
Yes.
Oh.
Romantic.
Nostalgia.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so we're definitely going to meet then. Our first full session is on the 7th. I will probably be here next Sunday just doing something content-wise because I like to have stuff on my Sunday nights for content. I didn't last week because I was still shaking off a cold. I might actually finally do my pub stream that the community pushed me to do through a community challenge because I have all the equipment to do it. I just haven't had the voice. And maybe next Sunday will be my excuse to get up here and do it. So it'll be an evening of, it's either going to be an evening of XCOM or it's going to be an evening of Irish pub tunes.
But
and I really
good either way.
I'm here for it.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that sounds like
I do remember us listening to a lot of Blackthorn on those trips we took.
Yeah, the good old days.
Cut you off there. Sorry, Arwen.
What?
I said I think I cut you off there. I'm sorry. About that.
No,
Okay.
you didn't.
Nike pump shoes. Yes, the good old days. Tunes while XCOM. I'm not that good. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So we're good to go. As we kind of wind down, I would like everyone to go around the table, reintroduce themselves, their character, with some interesting quirks, either ones that you've brainstormed or have been handed to you tonight, and what you're most excited for in this upcoming game.
You asked us to remind you to do a thing for a video too.
Oh, yeah, we should totally do that.
I don't remember what it was, but I remembered that I needed to remind you.
I remember remind me to do
we
something.
were waving.
You could do well. Okay, so in the intro video, which we're going to make, because I love Wally Pleasant's music. It's great stuff. Kathleen L., who's an amazing content creator and streamer, and does music looping as part of her streams, and she has a song called "Love Bandit," and it's not heist music per se, because it's really about accusing a guy of being kind of like an F-boy, a love bandit, but it has a good beat, and it makes for a good opening theme song. The twist is, I just need video of all of us doing something to go with our names and our pictures. So the introverted, like looking at the camera, the doing something flash with the hands, anything and anything that I can use as and this is this person saying basically who they are at the game table.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yes.
So I've marked this moment on the stream. Anything that happens in the next 60 seconds is what I'm going to look at, so I can put that in the intro reel. So you have 60 seconds to do something interesting.
Okay. Oh, winning.
All right.
I'm ready for my close-up, darling.
I'm just going to catch Arwen laughing. That's a keeper.
Oh no, the shark teeth. They always get in my way. Let's try the...
We need a prop.
Ooh. Yes.
Let's go. Yes.
Now that's true love. There was like no hesitation. She looked off camera and a sword appears.
Shout out to the burnt coin.
Indeed, indeed. Which, by the way, if you have not checked this dude out, you absolutely should. He's been a lot of fun to hang out on his streams, developing D&D content as well.
He makes awesome maps.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a joint project coming up for the Convergence game on Wednesday nights. Okay, thank you for reminding me about that, Malloc. Now let's start to wind down for the night. Ari, we ended with you last time. We're gonna start with you. Who are you? Alrighty. What brings you to Twitter or Twitch? Who are you playing, and what are you excited about?
I am Sharkira. I am a drow. I am a sassy drow, for that matter. This is my very first time playing D&D. I am a variety streamer, so I stream all sorts of different things, and I'm definitely not a shy shark. But I'm just looking forward to the storyline and seeing what happens. Because again, I've never played this, but I've had so much fun tonight. I cannot wait. Cannot wait for what's going to happen next. I'm very excited.
Cool. And over to Arwen.
I'm Arwen Atreides. I don't stream, but I do enjoy watching other people do lots of cool and fun things and hanging out in chats. I'm playing Chrysanthemum Coriolis, a halfling trickery domain cleric, and I'm excited to just make some new friends and have a great time. You all seem super cool, and yeah, I'm just excited for shenanigans and cool stuff.
All right, Chickadee.
Okay. I'm Chaotic Neutral Chickadee, and I'm playing Raylona Elvier, the Barbarian, and I guess I'm most excited to get to know you guys a little bit more. I only met you guys today, truly, and it's been a blast so far. It's been really great. So, and of course, smash things. I want to smash things.
There will be lots of that.
I love it.
I feel obligated to point out that this is not a Legend of Zelda game. There is nothing to be found in pots or barrels lying around alleyways. You don't need to smash everything you see.
We might have to test that.
I am inclined to break all pots that I see.
Can you imagine what it's like to live in that universe? Like this dweeb in this pointed hat shows up, breaks all of the pottery, then kills the monster plaguing you and disappears.
He's a cryptid.
Malloc, you have the floor.
Just gonna follow behind, keeling the pots.
Oh yeah. Hey, I'm Paul, aka Malloc. I'm a video game programmer, and I'm playing Drewmere Greyblade, a rogue dwarf, or a dwarf who is a rogue, not a rogue. You know what I mean. I'm super excited to get a chance to play with Rob again. I've had fond memories of the games that we played in the past, and I'm super excited to, work with some, play with some people who are maybe newer to role playing or streaming or D&D in general, because it's my favorite thing in the world, and I get to perhaps help you see why that is, and that's awesome to me.
Matt Colville says it best: Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games in general are the most fun you can have with just your brain. Not wrong. And my name is Rob, aka Lantern Noir, and I am the Dungeon Master for the game, so I'm in charge of keeping track of the book of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. I am here Sunday and Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for D&D content. Wednesday is our session 1, our first session of the Convergence, which has been this group. I felt we got us up and going. I'm a little nervous because I want to make sure I do a good job with this published adventure. The Convergence comes with the additional stress of I went to Kickstarter to help get some money to help make the stream interesting. And now, because of the sheer generosity of the community, I'm feeling a little bit of pressure to do an epic, amazing job with it. So we're having our first official game session this coming week, and I'm excited and terrified at the same time. Then we're back here. We're going to be off for Halloween, which is great because we have those commitments and we understand that. Our first official session is going to be on the 7th. Alternating Tuesdays, you can also find me here at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for happy hour. Me and Gray of Graybeard's Tavern sit down, we have a pint, and we talk about the fact that the two of us have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since the early 80s. And we pick a topic and we reminisce on 30 years of gaming. So it can be anywhere from us talking about, well, back in my day, you had to calculate THACO, and you made sure that you got it right, and it wasn't that bad. And sometimes it's like, thank God we don't have to calculate THACO anymore. And the conversations are all over the map. And then sometimes I just stream whatever game I'm playing. If it's not XCOM 2 lately, it's Baldur's Gate 3, and mostly so I can just whinge about how much I can't stand it. Because I really want to like it, and it's really hard.
I've been avoiding it, but I've heard some good things and some not good things. So hopefully they're able to sort it out.
It's kind of it in a nutshell. I'll come back to that later. So thank you guys for coming by tonight. It was a lot of fun having everybody here. It was great having you amazing players here. It was great, amazing to have this very full chat. Pond, if you're still here, thank you for bringing your crowd here. If you're here, if you came in with Pond, thank you for following along with that. Thank you if you followed as part of that. It is always good to have new people come into the channel and hang out. I believe my friend the Reluctant Hermit is he's currently on. I think he's celebrating his birthday tonight. I know his birthday is coming up in the very near future. You will find him here Saturday. We are doing a Halloween one-shot that he's going to be playing in. He's playing an Aasimar Warlock for that particular game, which is a lot of fun. So I'm actually going to send everybody from here. Cheapskate, we are glad you made it in. It's always good to see somebody from the Emerald Isle, the old country, joining us for an evening, and I'm glad you had a good time. So we're going to send you out over to the Reluctant Hermit. It's a lot of fun, and he always provides some great content. He plays a lot of good RPGs, and he is just a lovely bean. And that's all I can. I mean, there's no more to say. When you get there, tell them we said hi. I am going to spend some time on decompressing with my players, as I always have after a game. So let him know that I send him the best wishes and success for his stream. I will be along as quickly as I can. Although, given the hour, I might just go cuddle Mrs. Noir and call it a night. We'll have to see. Thank you for coming by, everybody. We will see you all back here next time. Stay safe, folks.